A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are at Quaker Steak Lube, our home away from home, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 5. Could be changing the hours just a bit here in the hopefully near future, but looking forward to talking about a lot that is going on in the world of sports. We'll certainly talk some Penn State Wrestling today. We'll talk some March Madness today. We will talk probably some little Lady Lion basketball in there as well. And certainly the NFL rules changes there. Penn State football. We're hurtling ever closer to the blue-white game. And again, we'll touch on all of that as the program unfolds today. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. Let's. Where do you want to start, Goon? I'm kind of open to starting anywhere.
We got to talk about your voice. I mean, what happened? What were you doing? Jeez, you missed a week. You just out screaming and yelling at people for like 7 days.
So it's a funny thing about the tournament. So I spent the last couple of days. Of course, I'm up in my broadcast location.
That's where I have to ask, where were you?
We are way up high and kind of away from everything, which I don't mind. I know there's, like everything, pluses and minuses to it. For me, the pluses outweigh the minuses because I'm able to spread out. I like, I have a bunch of little notes and little things that I'm trying to look at. I can see they had a screen up there with the bout numbers and the scores. So if I needed to check on something with another mat, I could do that. But I have the binoculars on and I'm able to, zero in on the Penn State kids. I can see all of the mats and the scoreboards. But because I'm obviously broadcasting during the matches, I'm not listening to the interviews either on TV or in the interview room after the different sessions, and certainly obviously the semifinals and finals. They have the interviews both on ESPN with the finalists and then back in the room, media interview room. So I've just been kind of slowly going through and hearing the interviews. And my takeaway from this past season, obviously Penn State, arguably the greatest season in the history of college wrestling. When you combine what this team did dual meet wise, and it's not a runaway, it's not clear cut, no question about it. But I think Penn State's one of maybe 3, maybe 4 teams that you could put into the discussion. I think when you look at the totality of it, the consistency of this Penn State team, what it overcame, and the dominance at both the Big Tens and the NCAAs, again, for me, this team will go down as the greatest, at least to this point, in the history of college wrestling, regardless of where you put it there. The thing that honestly most impressed me about the entire tournament was the way Penn State handled the losses and the losses that occurred over the course of not just the 3 days in Kansas City, but over the course of the season.
Sure.
Penn State did not lose. If you take Carter Starachi's 2 injury defaults of the Big Ten tournament out of the equation, the only losses for the starters, I'm talking about, the 10 guys that represented Penn State at the NCAA tournament, the only losses that those 10 guys had to were all, with one exception, to guys that finished the year seeded in the top 16, meaning at the national tournament, they were considered in the top half of their weight class. So these are guys that are at the top end. At some point, I'm going to go back through and calculate. I was hoping to do it before today, and I'm having to catch up on a bunch of stuff. But my guess is that close to half of the losses anyway were 2 guys that eventually were on the podium. We're all Americans here. this year. So one is just the who they lost to. There weren't like bad losses. And in a sport like wrestling, you can get those all the time. Somebody can catch you. You just have an off day. You're not feeling well. I mean, and especially in this day and age. Or again, you have a starter that's just not, elite or top tier. To go through an entire college wrestling season in today's world and not have a loss in a contested bout to somebody seated lower than 18 at the national
Would
tournament,
you say a
and only
fluke
one
loss?
of those.
That we consider the fluke loss, right?
I mean,
yeah,
yes and no. But so that is one thing. But if you didn't get a chance and you have an opportunity to go back and listen to Bo Bartlett and Mitchell Messenbrink's interviews after they lost in the finals, it'll do your heart good. It's just two guys that have it in perspective. They wanted to win national titles, no doubt, and it hurts. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling you that they don't give a rip. They do. But both of them are like, you know what? I went out, I competed hard, gave it my all, wrestled, to respecting my ability, gave it a shot. Both were right there, had a chance to win. Like, yeah, completely at peace with it. Completely at peace with it. That to me is special. That's perspective. And obviously what the four champs did and what this team as a whole did, the only two that weren't All-Americans, both one win shy, and Braden Davis in particular, again, very much just like Bo Bartlett and Mitchell Messenbrink in the finals, both of Braden Davis's losses were truly bouts that could have gone either way. And one was on riding time to Richard Figueroa, who ends up winning the national title. And the other was, a takedown away from advancing and against a guy that had a terrific tournament and ended up finishing fifth for Wyoming and Jory Volk. So in essence, I know in reality there's 8 All-Americans. I feel like Braden Davis wrestled well enough to be an All-American. He didn't get it. I get it. Record will clearly show that. But, I mean, you had 9 guys that were right there, and it's not like Aaron Nagao was far away either, obviously getting to the round of 12. And I think they're going to tweak just a couple of little things with his game, and I really think he's going to be right in the mix for a national title, not for All-America honors, for a national title next season. There's some things that they just they'll go to work on with his game here in the offseason. And he's such a coachable kid that I think, again, I think he will be the guy that will take the at least the most readily apparent biggest leap from this season to next in that Penn State lineup.
All right.
But what Penn State did, again, is...
I mean, that's what I'm just going to interview you today. I'm just going to ask you a ton of questions.
Yeah.
Will you think you'll ever see a 100-point victory ever again?
No.
Other than next year?
No, I don't think you will.
That's unbelievable.
So there's a couple of things that play into that. And obviously Penn State's, amazing run is a big part of it, and the team they put together. But and this is what I think, to me, makes what Penn State is doing even more amazing, is I do think, and I talked with a couple of folks with the national wrestling media when I was out there about this, and when you look at college wrestling as a whole, and I guess take Penn State out of the equation here, the parity right now in the sport is incredible. It used to be like when Gable had everything rolling with Iowa. It was Iowa up here. Then it was kind of Iowa State, Oklahoma State. Some years Penn State would be in there, Oklahoma, and every now and then somebody else would be there. But it was like Iowa, then there was a second tier of 3 to at the most 5 teams, but usually it was 3, maybe 4 teams. And then, another pretty big gap. When you look now, at college wrestling, again, there were, other than Penn State, no team had more than 4 All-Americans. Well, that is telling you, and it's not that Iowa and Oklahoma State and these schools are falling off of a cliff. It's not, despite what Iowa fans may think. Tom Brands, and they obviously had their off-season issues last year, and that certainly factored in to the relative lack of success. And again, putting in perspective, when you're finishing 5th and completely sour on it, you're probably in pretty good shape as a program.
I was very upset for them.
But I think when you look at the overall parity in college wrestling, there is a lot of it. North Carolina State, Virginia Tech in the ACC. And listen, North Carolina is coming. Like that, they're not far behind now. Virginia is coming.
PBA.
They're not far behind. I think when you look at obviously an Arizona State, a Cornell, which had a phenomenal tournament, a Lehigh, and in the Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa, obviously there. And I think there's some other teams, Nebraska this year for sure. But I think there's some other teams that are really working to try to make that next step. But schools like Rutgers, Minnesota, Illinois is trying to get there and making some investments in their program. So there's a lot of schools doing a lot of good things. And to see Penn State, so that is part of it, is that you didn't have a clear second team also. So Penn State, puts together this super team, and it was, but also everybody else was kind of grouped together. There wasn't another team that was out there that had 6 or 7 All-Americans. Okay, so that means, again, 72.5 points is not a ton of points. Like most years, your champion is in that 130 to 140 range, 120 to 140 range even. And then your runner-up is, in that 100 to 110 range, depending on the year. So it was the combination of, yes, Penn State has this super team. Now, I would never say never, but I think that the fact that you had all of those other teams bunched so closely together, and then Penn State in this just super mega team is what created the circumstance that allowed for the 100-point victory for Penn State. So I don't think we'll see it again.
That's the 100-point victory, but you think
anyway.
you might see more than 172 probably. You never know, obviously.
That is certainly possible with what Penn State is doing right
again. I'm maybe 10 years into the sport, and I just can't believe what I saw this past weekend. Just amazing. And then, like I was telling Ironhead before the show, Kazak, what he did is unbelievable. And I told him, I said, here's my idea, and here's my theory, is that kid will go and win 3 more national titles and not lose a match in the NCAA ever again after losing his first match, then win 7 straight times to get 3rd place. That's unbelievable.
Well,
how odd is that?
So
that's a question.
So I love it because Jason Bryant does a terrific job. Jason is a longtime national wrestling media member from Virginia. I think lives in Minnesota now.
Similar states.
And does the public address announcing, and has done it for a number of years at the NCAA tournament with Brian Hazard. But Jason puts together, and I think has help. But I mean, he largely puts together this guide that has all kinds of information and details on the wrestlers and everything before each year's tournament. And he I think it's $30 it was $30 this year to get it, and it's all online, and he makes edits as needed and all of that. But what I loved about it is he calls that the Langy. So if you don't know, again, Tyler Kasak lost in the first round. When you lose in the first round, to come back and get third, you have to win 7 consecutive matches. The way the brackets are set up, again, it's set up for a 32-man field. There are 33 in each weight classes, so they have what they call a pigtail bout between the 32 and 33 seeds. Basically a play-in, if you will, for the tournament,
yep.
And that sets your 32-man bracket. So that's what the bracket is set up on. So to win a national title, you need to win 5 straight matches at the NCAA championships. So, Tyler loses the first round. In the guide that Jason Bryant puts together, they call it the Langy, because the first wrestler to ever do that, to lose in the first round and then reel off 7 straight wins, was Penn State's John Langy back in 1998. And John rightfully takes a lot of pride in that. He was the first one.
Wow.
Tyler Kasak is the most recent. So Penn State did it first, and Kasak is the 9th ever to do it in the NCAA tournament. Langy and Kasak are the only 2 Nittany Lions to ever accomplish the feat. It is, not unheard of, but it is rare. To lose in the first round, again, you've got to reel off 7 straight wins, and probably at least 3 of them against All-American caliber wrestlers. And so it is a hard road for anybody, but for a true freshman to do it after the disappointment of that first round loss, and to do it with the path that he had, which included defeating the number 1 seed, Ridge Levitt, who had defeated Kasak twice during the season. Tyler, and again, I don't know, you never know in the NCAA tournament what injuries are going on, what else is happening. But Tyler dominated the match in the NCAA tournament on his way back through, and again, finishes in 3rd place. It is one of the really great accomplishments.
I think that was harder than the guys winning the national titles. It is harder.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it, because you got to give me the timetable.
Well, so it is harder for a couple of reasons. One, you're wrestling more matches, right? To get to win the national title, you're wrestling 5 bouts. To get to 3rd, you're wrestling 8 bouts if you're losing in the first round. So, and in a couple of those rounds, obviously, you're wrestling 2 bouts in the round in order to get there. So, in that regard, you can certainly argue it is a more challenging feat anyway. But also, you have that mental. I mean, most of the guys that come back and get 3rd are guys that had aspirations to win the national title. Well, when that aspiration is gone right out of the gate,
yes,
right, like it is hard to refocus and really get yourself in the mindset that, okay, I just need to take care of business in this next match. And it's not, and you have to do that. It is not that you're in the mindset, all right, I got to win 7 straight and come back and get 3rd. That will not work. That's not going to cut it at the national tournament. You have to be of the mindset, all right, I am going to come back and I'm going to find a way to win this next match. You do that, and then I'm going to find a way to win this next match. And again, when you look at the path he had, it was not that anybody has an easy path, but I mean, it was a lot of really good wrestlers
versus the people he played. My question is, what was the time? When was match 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Did he ever wrestle 4 times in a day? Because I can't imagine that.
Yes, he would have on Friday.
So he probably got
that right. Yes.
And then 1?
Maybe not. Let me think that through.
I got you. I mean, yeah.
Friday
I mean, it's got to be hard.
He would have. He would have. He would have had to have wrestled
times.
Yes, because he would have wrestled. So he lost on. I'm just going through this. So he lost Thursday afternoon. Would have had to wrestle Thursday night, and then would have had 2 on Friday morning, 2 on Friday night, and then 2 on Saturday afternoon.
In that 4-hour window, right?
Yeah. So that's well, it's in a it's more than that.
I was on ESPN Plus, so I was watching the consolations and stuff like that after the arena.
Yeah.
But in itself, that to me is amazing.
Yes.
I mean, just
it is.
unbelievable. And you're right. He had the right mindset. It's like, nah, I'm not worried about going 7 in a row. I'm worried about winning 1 in a row. One more time. One more time.
So
one more time.
It's to that end. And again, I touched on it earlier, but I am telling. I don't know if I think genuinely all 10 kids that Penn State sent to the NCAA tournament can walk out of there, and I think all did to varying degrees, but with their heads held high, knowing that they competed hard. I get to host. They've been doing for a while now a kind of a social after the national tournament. The Penn State Wrestling Club puts it together, and they invite the kids and their families and the coaches over, and obviously a bunch of the fans show up, and we bring the wrestlers up and allow them to say a few words. And Braden Davis was the one that was he's just very hard on himself. And he basically apologized for not competing. I forget exactly how he put it. He said he didn't compete hard enough, or didn't compete the way he thinks he should have, and he promised he would compete better. And I'm like, and I said, as he was going to his seat, and there were some family members that were, he was struggling, and I think not so much. I think he felt, which again is crazy. I think he felt like he had let the team down. Like, I don't think it was a pity party for himself that, hey, I didn't. And I'm not saying there wasn't some of that in there. Listen, you put the time in and you have the success that he did during the season. Yeah, you want to be on the podium. So I'm not saying this wasn't, it didn't hurt personally that he didn't get to achieve his goals for this year. But I think it was more, again, he's beating himself up that he didn't do what, he feels like he should have to help the team. And I'm like, Braden, the one thing, whatever issues there may or may not be with you, the way you compete, that is not an issue. Like, that dude wrestles hard, 7 minutes every time out.
He's my new guy.
And again, wrestling is a sport where you can do everything right. And I'm talking about and be elite. Like, I mean, you have to have some talent. There's a lot of guys that can do everything right, and they just don't have the quickness. They don't have the strength. But there are, even if you have the talent and you, again, are the aggressor, you're hustling, all of that, sometimes it doesn't work out. It's like that across sports, right? Like, you'll watch a soccer game and you're like, well, this team just took 30 shots. They're clearly a better team. And this other team took 4 shots, but that one
just 1-0.
Did a weird deflection and got behind your sensational goalie, and you lose 1-0. It's like, well, nobody thinks that the team that won was the better team. It happens. And, wrestling even more so, there's, calls, there's all kinds of things that factor into it. And again, I think the caliber of wrestling and coaching in the college ranks right now is at an all-time high. I think there are more like outstanding coaches, more outstanding wrestlers, guys who come in ready to go out of high school and are developed. I think when you look at the training processes now, the weight rooms and the diets and everything that goes into it, Penn State's not the only one doing this stuff, folks. That, like, all of these teams know what it takes, and they're all going all in. And listen, make no mistake, they're circling when you see, and you saw it, the reaction when kids beat a Penn State kid. It wasn't just that they won the match and advanced in the tournament. It was, oh man. And it didn't matter who they beat. It's, wow, I just beat a Penn State kid. Like, there's an extra sense of pride in that for opposing teams. So there's an extra little, yeah, man, we want to do it. We want to prove we can do it against Penn State. So Braden will be fine. he was fine this weekend. It wasn't like I think in his mind, I think he is imagining that he wrestled much worse than he did. Again, the two losses could have gone either way, and they were both two really, really good kids who have more experience.
Had he grown up wrestling against those guys? I know they're different ages.
Yeah,
but you're saying
I don't know.
They do wrestle at younger ages now, and they know each other.
I don't know the answer to that.
Figueroa was an older dude.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know the
face.
answer as to whether or not they would have wrestled. I also don't know what weight classes some of these guys were in at various stages of their youth and then high school careers. So,
well, I don't think Davis was wrestling heavyweight at any point in his view.
No, but high school it's divvied up even
man.
a little more than college, and so sometimes you have guys that are at 25 or at any of the weight classes, and it's like, well, yeah, in high school though we were separated by a weight class or two. So, again, regardless, it was an absolutely sensational tournament by any measure for Penn State. Whether you believe, as I do, that this was the greatest team in college wrestling history, it was certainly a great, great team, one of the best of all time, for sure. And, I think I mentioned this in the broadcast on Saturday night. What I think makes it all the more impressive and remarkable is this was a team that didn't have everything go its way, right? Yeah, the Shane Van Ness injury early in the season. Robbie Howard was expected to be the 25-pounder, and I think injury and some other things didn't let that work out. Obviously, you had the knee injury to Carter Starachi in the last dual meet of the season, and like with every team, I mean, there's things that folks are never going to know about that are going on, whether it's family situations, girlfriend situations, school, all of the things that all college kids and all college athletes are dealing with. So even if you're not aware of it, like those are the ones and the injuries and stuff, you're like, oh yeah, well, we see that. Even when you think they're smooth sailing and man, this team is just rolling. Again, you don't know what all is going on with personal lives and with and again at this level, there's a lot of some guys are not comfortable with the glare of the spotlight, and when you're wrestling at a place like Penn State and Bernie Truax, 3-time All-American before he got here. But wrestling in Cal Poly, relative anonymity. Bernie Truax isn't going to a restaurant in State College without somebody recognizing, oh yeah, man, that's our 184-pounder. So there's a different level of fame or notoriety, and with that, some scrutiny. Oh, I saw this guy. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
My one big question, Messenbrink, did he know the clock thing?
I don't think he did. I don't know. I think he thought it was tied. Well, I think he even said that, and I think Cal Sanderson acknowledged it in the post interview. What I don't know for sure is he definitely thought it was tied.
Correct.
What I don't know is if he just kind of forgot about the riding time component, or if he thought there had been another stall call in there against. I don't know. No question that with 10 seconds or whatever it was left, he thought they were heading to sudden victory. I'm not sure exactly where the confusion came in. I don't know that it much matters at the end of the day. And to Mitchell's credit, it wasn't, he's just not one of those that, well, if I had known, then I would have won.
I asked you this
I
because
think if he had known, it would have been really interesting to see because he was coming, obviously, and Carr was tired.
David was done.
He was.
I asked this
could he have
because
held on for 10 more seconds with Mitchell coming? Quite possibly.
Somebody asked me, because Messenbrink wears glasses, could he see? Could that have been?
Well,
I don't know. Does he wrestle with contacts?
And there's a couple of things. Cale said in the post tournament interview. Cale said that he took ownership. He said that's on us as coaches, and and then he clarified it's on me. Cale saying it's on me, Cale as head coach. But there's a couple things. One, I don't know for sure whether or not they were yelling out and recognized it, but the wrestlers were at the far end of the mat. I mean, the circumstance was just such that even if they were yelling, I don't know that Mitchell would have been able to hear it just because of the distance. Again, Penn State was the coach's corner was literally at the opposite end of the mat, like as far away pretty much as you could have been from the wrestlers. So the way Cale was talking, I don't think they were yelling it out. But that may be just him trying to. But even if they were, again, I don't know that Mitchell. Again, you're wrestling the national title. I don't know that he would have heard it. I don't know if they were right next to each other, they would have heard it. But again, with the noise in the arena and the distance there, I'm not sure that it would have mattered. I think he had looked at the scoreboard, and I think he did see the 8-8. Again, I don't know whether he just, my guess is he just kind of, in the heat of the moment, forgot about the riding time situation. And again, that's obviously very tough. But I just think the perspective that both he and Bo Bartlett had afterward, if you're a Penn State fan, ought to make you awfully proud of those two young men.
Now, it was a day two to the Oklahoma State. I forget who hurt their knee in the match
for Penn State.
Yes.
Bernie Truax.
It was Truax. Okay.
Yeah.
Now there was a little confrontation there. I gotta get the opinion what happened there with the Oklahoma State and Penn State guys, coaches. They got a little heated out there.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where again, I think you're trying to better your situation. I would blame the official more than I would the kid or the coaching staff when it comes to that. Again, it's I don't know that it's possible to truly explain when you're in the heat of a battle with any sport, right? Emotions are high when you're in a championship caliber event. Okay, or you're competing for a championship. You're in the NFL playoffs. You're in the college football playoffs. You're in the PIAA state football playoffs or basketball or wrestling, whatever it is, right? Like emotions are high. In wrestling, I think even to a greater degree, because it is one-on-one. It is literally mano a mano out there. And it is me against you. And it is the two of us. And the coaches, obviously, of all of these kids, they know the hard work, the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears, all of that are put into it. And it's emotional for them when they see a dream for a given season or a given career come to an end. And when you feel like it's something that is preventable, right? Or that is out of your control. Like it's one thing, Braden Davis was right there, but he lost. It's like, now, hats off, man. That guy out wrestled you in that particular 7-minute bout. Hats off. You shake hands and kudos, congratulations, and you move on. When you get a situation where there's an injury, you feel like something was twisted that shouldn't have been twisted. Right then the emotions get even higher.
Yep.
And again, I think anytime Penn State's involved, if you are winning one of those bouts, again, the emotions get ramped up. It's a big deal. It's beating Alabama in football. It's beating Duke or Carolina in basketball over the years. Like it means something. And so, I don't know that at the end of the day it's that big of a deal, but I think emotions just.
I need a breakdown of Oklahoma State staff versus Penn State staff. I need who's matching up on who, and what is going to happen.
Yeah, listen, Penn State. I do think that this coaching staff is again. I would put up with any coaching staff in any sport in terms of in terms of the whole ball of wax, which is knowledge of what it is they're coaching or teaching. Like, obviously, they're all very accomplished in their own right, but I mean, they stay on top of the rules, the latest changes, what's allowed,
Did you hear
what's
what
not allowed.
Srirachi said, though? About the staff?
Yes.
I mean, that was
well, and that's part of it too.
absolutely telling in
Well,
itself.
So there is a level of commitment there that is just unlike. It's not going to be outdone by anybody.
It's amazing,
right? Like there might be others that can match it that are kind of 24/7 also, but nobody's outdoing it.
I'm just sitting there watching Saturday night. Beer 888 on the weekend, obviously, but you're sitting there and you're watching Kirk Levitt getting warmed up, and Cale Sanderson is rubbing his arms, rubbing his shoulders, and you're like, this is the greatest wrestler in the history of the sport. And this is how ingrained he is with the kids.
Well, I mean, Coach Lee's good, but I don't know that he's the greatest in the history of the sport. I hear
amazing,
what you're saying.
though. There's no ego in
that
room. There's zero ego in the room. And if there is an ego, it's going down.
That is a fact.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how just fired up that the whole watching that whole thing is. And then people from around the country that they're like, dude, this is unbelievable. And knowing that they don't know crap about wrestling, they'll be texting me or calling me and be like, I can't believe what I'm watching here. This is unbelievable. And it was.
Yeah. And again, you'd obviously I think you always just if you're a competitor, you always want more. Like it would have been nice to get all 10 on the podium. They would have loved to have had 6 national champions. But again, to me, I think that the big takeaway I suspect for the coaches is that they had all 10 kids wrestle well and wrestle hard in every bout of every match. Again, not just at the NCAA tournament, certainly at the NCAA tournament, but throughout the entire season. And that is, at the end of the day, that's all any coach wants, right? Like, I mean, yeah, you want results. You'd love the wins. But if you are getting truly maximum effort out of your kids every time out, like that's all realistically you can ask of them. And that was the thing, I don't mean to harp on Braden Davis, but he just is so hard on himself and so unnecessarily
he's 18, so. He's the first kid to get introduced at the party type of thing. But you can see where he'd be like,
But he is such a
it's the fire.
Such a driven kid and so committed to being the best he can be. And again, he is going to win a whole lot more than he loses throughout his career. I'm not going to make any grandiose predictions because he's in a tough weight class. I'm not sure if he's going to. There's a lot of things they got to figure out moving forward.
I think they may have mentioned in the broadcast that he's still growing. He might be the 133 next year type of thing.
Yeah, okay. I mean they've got so. Anybody that says right now they know what that Penn State lineup is going to look like next year, they are lying because I don't think anybody. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that they have to sort out, and it's all good stuff, but some of them are legitimate problems and issues. And one of the things is I think any of the guys that have now competed, like none of them are going to step up and say, man, you know what I want to do next year is redshirt. Like, I don't think there's anybody who has already competed. Now, maybe some of the incoming freshmen like, yeah, I'm good with that plan. But now some of them I think are going to. And I don't know who, but I'm just saying when you look at the way the lineup is so you have obviously Braden Davis and Tyler Kasak both have red shirts available to them to start. Levi Haynes has a red shirt available to him. Both Braden and Levi, I think, are going to have a tough time making the weight that they wrestled at this year next season. And you have some very good wrestlers coming in. You have some guys that are already in that have been waiting in the wings here. You have decisions that I think Bo Bartlett we pretty much know is coming back. but you have some decisions here with like Carter Starachi and Greg Kirkfleet that need to be made that is going to significantly impact what the lineup looks like and kind of how Penn State can adjust some things. But like where a Levi Haynes goes or where a Mitchell Messenbrink goes in the lineup next year, and Alex Facundo, again, some of these incoming freshmen, a Josh Barr, like there's a lot of moving parts right now. And so, I mean, I think they will get it figured out. Kasak certainly does not want a red shirt next year now. You have Shane Van Ness, who's, again, I think never be able to prove it, obviously, but I am 100% convinced that he was going to win the national title this year, if not for the injury at 149. So, yep, you've got a lot of again, different possibilities at a lot of different weight classes right now that they're going to have to figure out sometime between now and next October or November exactly how they're going to approach this.
Now, this is where I get a little sketchy on the whole wrestling versus football redshirt thing.
Yeah.
So Van Ness, had he redshirted before or no?
Yes.
He has. So this
has.
season could have been a medical redshirt for him now. He could petition?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is just like football then, because if he hadn't used his red shirt, that would have been a red
well,
shirt. But
and
now
the
that
thing
he has,
his other red shirt was really a medical situation too. So he has, it's really 2 years that he's missed, both because of medical. Now I think he was going to redshirt anyway that first year, but I mean, which I think I can't imagine, especially in this day and age, how the NCAA or whatever the governing body ends up being when that decision is ultimately made. I can't imagine how Van Ness would not be granted the extra year of eligibility now.
Okay. That's
presuming he wants to use it at that when we get to that
question.
point.
Yeah. So, all right, the last question I'm going to have for you is what's stopping a university from coming into Penn State and saying, I will give you $800,000 each for all 6 of you to come wrestle for me?
Not a thing.
Nothing stopping that, right?
Correct.
And that's where the world is right now.
It is.
Is that, I mean, that's just, it's insane. That's where we're at. But, again, you're not going to blame the wrestler. I mean, is that an issue that they possibly foresee?
I mean, I never say
never say never.
Correct, but I think most of the guys that they have on that roster right now are here not because of NIL money. I think it's actually 3 primary reasons. I think one is they want to be part of this program and see what this coaching staff is doing in terms of developing wrestlers, not just collegiately at the Olympic level, and now with Bo Nickel and some of these guys are going on to success in the sport beyond college in various ways, but also, I mean, a ton of these guys are going out and making an impact on the world, both in whether it's coaching or just in their professional careers. So I think one is, I want to be developed both as a wrestler and as a person by a group of people that are probably doing that as well as any group of people, any coaching staff in the history of mankind. I think they also, they're doing it because there are some core principles. And I think it may make some uncomfortable, but I think there's a real belief in the gratitude and a higher power, right? That they believe in God and that there is a purpose above and beyond wrestling for which they are put on the earth, and they want to be around like-minded individuals. And that Penn State room right now has a lot of like-minded individuals in that regard. So I think that is important to the wrestlers and to their families. And then, the other part of it is, again, I think if you are wanting to achieve your goals, whether it's to be a national champion, to be an Olympic gold medalist, to be part of a national championship team, whatever it may be, again, right now, your best path to do that is at Penn State. Not your only path, and it really does bother. There are some Penn State fans that, when you see a kid sign elsewhere, they're like, well, he stop with that. This staff does an incredible job. I'm not saying that a kid who signs here isn't making the right decision, but it's not the right decision for everybody. And there are a ton of kids who are having a ton of success at other programs. Keegan O'Toole, David Carr, Caleb Henson from Virginia Tech. This
Northern Iowa guy was a savage.
Parker Kakaisen is
holy crap,
unbelievable.
Jeff.
And to his credit, Kakaisen would fit in very well at Penn State, by the way, just in terms of the gratitude approach. And he talked about how appreciative he was of Aaron Brooks for pushing him. And, and I think I did feel bad. I really did feel badly for Trent Hidley of North Carolina State, because that is a great wrestler. And he's not going to go down as one of the all-time greats because he had an historically great wrestler in front of him every year in Aaron Brooks. And, Trent had to be, for 3 years, Aaron Brooks beat him at the NCAA tournament. In 2021, they met in the NCAA finals. Brooks wins a close match. Semifinals in 2022, they meet again. Brooks wins a close match. 2023, same thing, semifinals. So you get to the last year, and if you're Hidley, you're like, all right, I can't cut 84 anymore. I'm going to 97. This is going to be my year. Wait, who's moving up to 97? And listen, Trent, I guarantee you looked at it as, all right, this is an opportunity. Like, I don't think, there are people that, boy, I bet he, is hanging his head when he saw. No. Yeah, you don't understand the competitive nature of this sport. If you think Trent Hidley saw that Aaron Brooks was
happy that
up,
Brooks moved up.
Yes, he wanted that win. And you could see, he genuinely felt he was going to get it going into it. But all 4 years, his national title dreams were thwarted by Aaron Brooks. And it's just, again, the bad luck of being there, at the same time as one of the all-time greats. Again, exactly where you put Brooks on the list of the best. It'll vary person to person, but he's certainly on the short
one
list.
One of 6 right now, right?
One of 7 now with Carter Siraj.
Okay, 7. Yeah. The Northern Iowa guy.
Yep.
There's
Parker
too many. Kakaisen?
Kakaisen.
Okay, so Kirklevin, we got the new OC here. There's too many Ks running around here. You could tell he's beloved in his post-match. He's walking back to the locker room, and the whole Northern Iowa team followed him back in there.
Yeah.
And we're hugging up on him. And it was like, that guy is a leader right there. You could just tell that the team loves him. And I was like, that's the guy right there. That guy, he impressed me very, very much.
And he's a guy that, and listen, I think it's the case with most of these top end guys. Like, it's not just a Penn State thing, as much as Penn State fans want to believe that. Now, Penn State is doing it obviously at a crazy high, consistent level across the board, but when you listen to a David Carr or a Keegan O'Toole or a Parker Kakaisen, like, these guys all talk about the process and embracing the grind that is college wrestling. Like, they love just testing themselves and pushing themselves, challenging themselves. And it again, I think it's sometimes hard for us, and I am certainly among the us that's not part of this elite group. It is hard to like, I would think you're in there, man, it's all about winning. Like, I got to figure out a way to win. And it really isn't. I'm not going to say that there aren't guys out there that are driven solely by that they want to win, but most of those guys that I just mentioned, and there's a bunch of others, it really is about what the sport does for you is teach you how to challenge yourself and push yourself beyond your comfort zone and get the best out of yourself mentally and physically. Again, to me, wrestling is unquestionably the toughest sport out there because of what it demands of you in terms of you cannot go out there and not be a confident individual. And I don't mean confident that you're going to go out and win every match. You're like, oh, this guy's 0-10. He's not going out. The confidence that it takes to walk out onto a mat against one other individual, even if, again, when I say confidence, I'm talking about the confidence to be there, to be present. That in and of itself is, I think, worthy of significant praise and acknowledgement, because it is not an easy thing to do. And again,
put it into my world. You could have a day where you're getting worked by that defensive end, but you're going to get picked up by your tight end or your guard. They're going to help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's going to be days where you don't have it in wrestling. If you don't have it, that you can't hide. You're not hiding. Yeah. It's absolutely amazing. It is the world's oldest sport,
and the
for
greatest.
a reason. And, I will. Is it an individual sport or a team sport?
Yes, it is.
It's both. It's a combination. It's really amazing.
Again, when you're out there, there's no doubt. It is an individual.
And I love this
sport.
past weekend because I was bringing people in to watch. We watched the All Out of Champs, all 6 sessions.
Yeah.
I didn't go to session 5 though. I'm not gonna lie. That's a tough one to get ready for. But bringing more people out there to watch it. My wife and her friends and some other friends who don't really watch, and it's a great time to be a Penn State fan, first of all. To get into the sport and your team is, it's like being a Montreal Canadiens fan in the 60s and the 70s. It's like, it's not that hard. But, yes, it is amazing to watch. And I love getting people involved in it because, this is what your sport is. The wrestling world is a small world that tries to share and expand. And all you have to do is watch it and hear some of the inside stories. And you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's really amazing. And it is absolutely amazing. And what they did the other night, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's flat out unbelievable. 100-point victory. 8 All-Americans. I mean, I wanted 10. That's why it was my thing. I said I wanted 10 on the record. So tell Kaylee let me down. Damn it, man.
Yeah, again, the effort was
awesome,
was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And I think the way Penn State handled its losses, and I think Tyler Kasak even touched on it after he had come back and taken third in his interview. He was talking about the friendship he has with Braden Davis, and I think Braden was saying to him, but I think obviously he can say it right back, that you are. And this is, I guess, what I'm kind of driving at. The best way to put it is, regardless of result, if you are out there giving full effort and you are competing to the best of your ability, and you're not just like Bo Bartlett went in on the shot, right? Didn't work out. He loses the national title. And he's like, you know what? I'm completely at peace with it. I went out. I got in on a good shot. Guy had a terrific counter, and he beat me on it. It's sports. Like it is, as Cal Sanderson has said many times. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a game. Like, it's a game that means a lot to these guys. They put a lot into it, but they're not defining their life by it. They're not. Now, what they are defining their life by, like if you go out there and you never take the shot, and you're
that'll
like,
drive you
I'm
insane.
just gonna, yeah. Well, then, like now you have done a disservice to yourself and to your teammates. Yep. But again, I can't think of a single bout. I mean, I really can't. The whole weekend where it's like, oh boy, just no effort there by that guy, or boy, for that period. Now, were there a letdown here or there? Where yes, I'm not sitting here telling you that it was 7 minutes of everything exactly the way it should be. But again, put it into your own life.
It's amazing.
Like, have you ever met anybody anywhere ever who actually truly is giving 100% all the time? And it's not possible. I mean, at the end of the day, like the reality of that, it is not possible. But what that team did in terms of respecting the sport and respecting themselves, yeah, there was no reason to hang your head after any single bout. And again, I would say all season long. And that is very, very special. And obviously this team was very, very special.
It was. Now, I have one non-Penn State question. I know we have to go to a break.
Yeah.
Does Fix go down as an all-timer?
An all-time great?
4-time runner-up.
Well, I mean,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to depend how you want to define it. Is he? So this is, and this was an interesting discussion I got into with actually a couple of different people with the national media, and I think Mitchell Messenbrink. I'm trying to think. I think this was at the social after the event where he talked about hopefully you don't as much remember the result as you do the way I competed. And when Kale has talked about this, I think quite a few times over the years, but when I think of the all-time greats in the sport, not just Penn State, like it's not even necessarily, yes, there has to be a degree of accomplishment to be considered one of the all-time greats, right? Like you can't be 5th place was your highest finish and you're an all-time great in the history of the sport. Like that doesn't jive. So there has to be some accomplishment in there for sure. But to me, when I think back to like the Lincoln McElravys or the Brett Metcalfs, or, you know, for Penn State, even going back, and I didn't see Andy Motter. I don't remember seeing Andy Motter, but you know, for those that did, or Wade Shawless, like that, you may remember moments in the championships and the defining moments there. But what you really remember is, man, that guy Shawless, he just kept pinning people. Like I remember watching him. Just it seemed like he could pin anybody anywhere. When you think back to David Taylor, it's like I just remember that guy kept scoring points. He kept getting low on the legs and getting takedowns after takedowns. Jason Knoll, same thing. Bo Nickel, big move after big move. Like you think of those as all-time greats. So for me, listen, Dayton Fix is a great wrestler. I mean, he is. Coming out of high school, he was a can't-miss prospect, and he didn't miss. I mean, you get to the finals 4 times. That's not a miss, right? Like that is the Buffalo Bills. They weren't. They're not going to be remembered as an all-time great team because they didn't win a Super Bowl, but that run of 4 Super Bowls will be remembered as a great accomplishment. So Fix, certainly it was a great accomplishment. For me, it's not even if he had won the title, and again, I'm just speaking for me, he would not go down as an all-time great in that I don't think of him as a guy that, man, you had to watch him. Like your eyes, you couldn't help but be drawn. He is a boring style of wrestler. He's a very defensive-oriented wrestler. Now, that's, again, I think Kyle Dake throughout much of his career was that same way when he was at Cornell. They both won at an exceptionally high level, and obviously Dake will be remembered as an all-time great, as a 4-time champion. But for me, I remember guys like Lincoln McElravy just racking up the points. For Penn State, David Taylor or an Ed Ruth or Zane Rutherford, these guys that just kept going out and getting points. Obviously, Jason and Bo Nickel, and now Carter Starachi and Aaron Brooks. And listen, both of them evolved as well. They didn't come in and just completely dominate right from the get-go. Now they were very good and they won from the get-go, but the complete domination. And what Aaron Brooks did this season, we talk about Penn State separating from the rest of the country here this year as a team. I don't know that I remember, and I'd have to go back and look, but Aaron Brooks was so clearly heads and shoulders above the rest of the class at 197 this year. I know the Hodge Trophy voting is out, and I know 4 of the 5 candidates are from Penn State. You have Parker Kikaisen, and then Penn State's 4 champions, Levi Haynes, Carter Starachi, Aaron Brooks, and Greg Kirkfleet. And it's certainly nothing. I think, Levi and Greg and certainly Carter have great cases, and Parker Kikaisen was an absolute beast this year. But Aaron Brooks made it look so easy. I go back to Bo Nickel, made it look easy. Jason Nolf, it's like, yeah, I just want to get a takedown. When you make a sport that is as hard as wrestling is, at the highest levels, look as easy as those guys do, that's to me when you know you have an all-time great. You don't watch Dayton Fix and say, boy, that guy just makes it look easy. Like you say, man, that guy knows how to win.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not in the finals, but he knows he's right there. Really, really hard to score on. Really, really good. A good, tough wrestler. But again, it's not like Jason Nolf was must-watch wrestling.
Yes.
Wait, Nolf's up? I want to see this. What's he going to do today? Bo Nickel, same thing. Ed Ruth, Zane Rutherford. Is anybody going to be able to get away from Rutherford? He's on top. I want to see. Does this guy have a chance? Probably not. Right? Aaron Brooks. Is this guy going to be able to do anything against him? Nope. Nobody got a takedown on Aaron all season long. But he also, again, was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Entertaining style. Dayton Fix, again, for me, maybe if I'm an Oklahoma State fan, I'm stating his case,
sure.
More fervently. But he just was not must-watch wrestling. A guy like Bryce Andonian for Virginia Tech, for me, Andonian's wrestling, I want to check that out. Now, he's not going to go down as one of the all-time greats in the history of the sport, but that dude is fun to watch. He goes for it, and he's entertaining. So, again, it's going to depend on how you define it. Dayton Fix will not be listed on the, I don't think there's anybody that's going to put him on like a top 20 list of the all-time best in the sport, even though he got to the finals four
times and lost. That's crazy to think about, man.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, I don't know Dayton. I've met him a couple of times just at the national tournament. And when I say meet, I mean, it's like, hi, Dayton. So I don't know him at all. Seems like a really good kid. I do know.
You made 2 great points, and that was he wasn't a must-see because he was a very defensive wrestler.
Yeah.
And he won all his matches by 1 point. It's not fun to watch.
Yeah. And again, to me, against good competition, he just didn't dominate very often. Now, more so this year, he did have more, bonus point victories this season. But again, he didn't dominate against other top-end talent the way some of the others that I mentioned did. You go back to Lincoln McElravy or Brett Metcalf of Iowa, or a number of guys. John Smith when he wrestled. I mean, there were guys where it was like, ooh, you got to see this, and he just wasn't that.
We need a break.
Yep.
I got a great question for me. Give you the question before. Do you want some time? Because you may have actually even heard it.
Yeah.
It was a wrestling podcast that was on.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you the guys that were talking.
Okay.
And they said, the one guy said, Aaron Brooks versus Cale Sanderson in their heydays. And the one guy was like, whoa, you just can't do that. You can't throw Cale in there like that, like he was just a throw-in. They said, what if you have Bo Nickel fight Brooks, and then winner has to fight Cale? And I want to hear your honest opinion. So,
all right, we'll take a break here. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are at Quaker Steak Lube. You are listening to WFXS Pleasant Gap State College. We appreciate you doing so on this Tuesday afternoon. And we will be coming right back. Lots more to get into. It won't be all wrestling talk today. We will get into some other things as well. By the way, well, we'll save that for when we come back. We continue. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show, and we're coming right back.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands, busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
We welcome you back in here on this Tuesday afternoon, and we are here at Quaker Steak and Lube, where the all-you-can-eat wing buffet is now officially
kicked off,
open
right?
and ready for you to dig in. You can come on down and enjoy that on this Tuesday as we get ready to gear it back up for March Madness. How's the bracket looking for you there, dear Goon?
I did one. I handed it in. I think that me and Booch and Mailman did our bracket predictions and stuff like that. As usual, the Mailman just running away with it.
The only my bracket is perfect except for I had Northwestern pounding UConn. I did not see UConn winning that game. Other than that, though, my bracket is looking perfect so far.
I thought he was looking good right now. Surprisingly, is Purdue.
Yes.
So I saw a story the other day,
now we'll see.
I was like, oh my God, that's right. The 2 times a number 1 seed has lost to a 16 seed was UVA. The year we were in whatever, I think it was Pittsburgh. The UVA lost to the national and the opening round of the game to a 16 seed.
Yep.
They won the national title the next year. So Purdue, as a 1 seed, lost to a 16 seed last year, and they're saying this may have been that wake-up call to jostle them and get them going and take nothing for granted type of thing. And It might be their year to run for a national title. I mean, you can't be the 7'4" guy in the middle. I mean, who's playing very well, and he's changing games, and I mean, UConn has got a pretty good big boy themselves, so that would be a heck of a matchup. Those two teams, but nothing. I mean, I was more in wrestling, and basketball was in the corner going on. It is fun to watch the last second shots, and how some teams I can't believe Houston went to overtime the other day. I was like, wow, so that really just happened? 8 points in like 30 seconds, and whew. But it's been fun. I got more into it Sunday when wrestling was over. You know what I mean?
I do indeed.
And then you were just getting back. And then when did you get back? Sunday?
Yeah, I actually have not seen any of the tournament to this point. I mean, I've watched a bunch of the highlights and stuff. But,
you did a pool, though, didn't you?
You know what? I actually did not this year. Yep, I'm not even I never filled out a bracket. So
it's perfect.
I'm probably the only person in the country that has nothing riding on the results here. And I'm just watching for the sake of watching.
It is fun. I mean, there's no doubt. I would tell you the wrestling thing, and I know you were working through the whole thing, so there is fun involved. But the in between sessions, and there's basketball games on. Like we were at Champs, so we didn't go this year, and I just got a message about next year. Next year's in Philadelphia.
Correct.
So, what was the crowd like for Penn State? I know that I had a lot of people here. A lot of upset people about the whole suite situation at the arena. But how was the attendance for us?
Penn State showed up very strong in Kansas City. Most the kind of Penn State section was from my broadcast location on the far left end of the arena. And Penn State probably had as good a contingent there or better than anybody. Iowa and Missouri, I mean, Missouri obviously in Kansas City, both had very strong contingents as well. But it's one of the things I really love about the national tournament is you had the, you have the groups of all of the teams, but Cornell and Lehigh and North Carolina State had a strong section this year. That to me is kind of one of the fun things is you see the, different fans going crazy at different times, and especially through those first couple of days. And then, when you get to the finals, everybody's they're picking their guy one way or the other for all kinds of reasons.
Kerry won the pool, by the way.
And it's fun to watch that and see who fans will get behind. And sometimes they'll start, it's like, I want to see the upset here. And then as the match goes on, it's like, all right, I don't like the way this guy's wrestling. I'm rooting for the other guy. It's funny to watch the way fans go with that. She won the wrestling pool?
Yeah, the finals pool. I mean, you picked the 10 matches, and then the total, they chose the David Carr bout for the total points. I think she won the tiebreaker because we know David Carr and we know his family. So she's like, I want David, and I don't know, 14? I'm like, okay. The next person she thought was at 13, or whatever. It was one either way, but it was me. Great time, but she had fun with it. But do you see people turning on Penn State, rooting against Penn State? I mean, obviously Iowa always will, but I mean, they're the big boy in play. It's like people going and you're watching Alabama football, and that's who I'm comparing our wrestling program to. I mean, I think we've passed like this. What Kale's got with his dynasty going this is now UCLA basketball type.
Yes,
like. We're on that track right now. We've passed Alabama, or we're like Bear Bryant, Alabama. I think we've passed the Nick Saban, Bama. We're more Bear
There's
Bryant.
nothing in football that can compare to it. I mean,
but I'm saying a lot of we would all cheer against the top teams, the returning teams, and stuff like that. So does that happen?
Oh yeah.
But then they still have to respect them. It's still a respect thing.
Yes, but no, I mean, there's people. Go crazy when Penn State loses, and again, completely understandable. It's the same way. I mean, I never cared about the Patriots one way or the other until they started winning too much for my liking. It's like, all right, I want to see them lose. Why? I had nothing against Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. I'm tired of seeing the same team. The Chiefs, same thing. I have nothing against Kansas City, but if you're not a fan of the team that is involved in a dynasty, it's just human nature. You're gonna root for the underdog, and you want to see somebody new in there. So makes perfect sense. And yes, that there is no doubt that generally speaking, folks are rooting against the Penn State kids at every turn.
But there is a respect in the end, though, right?
No doubt. And I think because it's not just that they're winning it. It's, I think most people recognize that they're winning the right way, and that they're fun to watch. I mean, it might not be fun if you're wrestling them, but I mean, in terms of they're going out and trying to put points on the board. They're not just trying to win matches. And generally, over this era, I would say, I mean, I'm speaking out of turn here. I haven't sat down and really looked at this, but I would say probably 8 of the 10 most exciting wrestlers here in the last 15 years are from Penn State. So that's part of it too, in terms of the respect is, again, you respect anybody that's winning. I mean, I think but I think because they're winning the right way and because they're doing it by putting points on the board and going out there and, hitting big moves and big moments, I think that, is a little extra level of respect for what they're doing and the way they're going about it. So
Philadelphia next year, Cleveland the year after.
Yep. And then we'll see. I think we'll
East
get
Coast
the next cycle then announced sometime this coming year.
Do you think they'll go back to the stadium?
To your question, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
To answer your question regarding, a couple of things. It is obviously impossible to, anytime you're trying to compare, even if it's fairly recent, there's just so many differences, and Brooks is so difficult to score on, and Nickel was so difficult to stop. Like, it would be fascinating. It's not and Aaron's offensive oriented, and Nickel had terrific defense. So it's not like it was strength against weakness, right? It was, super strength against good strength in terms of offense, defense there. It would be a wildly entertaining bout. I will say, for my money, and again, I don't like I'm not a big fan of and I understand why it's done, and it's inevitable, and it's fun bar talk, and I participate. When I say I don't like it, I don't mean I don't like it that I don't ever do it. Like, we'll talk, in baseball, different eras, and this player would translate in this era, and that's again part of the fun of being a sports fan. So I get it. I really don't know. I mean, honestly, I think if they wrestled 10 times, both in their like, you take senior Bo Nickel and versus senior Aaron Brooks, I think if you wrestled them off 10 times, I'm guessing they're going about 5-5. I mean, there's just not much separating them in terms of skill level and ability, strength, everything that you throw into it. For me,
one of the theories I heard was Bo would get frustrated and attack, and Aaron would
I could see that.
Stop it and win the match.
Yeah.
But
for me, and again, I don't go back. Like, so the first national tournament I went to was in 86 or 87. Let's see. It would have been, I think it was 87. When I started really following the national level, I followed Penn State pretty closely from the late 70s on. But in terms of the national tournament and stuff, probably like 82, 83, somewhere in there is when I started really paying attention to what was happening there. I never saw Dan Gable compete. I'm obviously aware of what he did, and I've gone back and watched some of the matches and all of that. But the great wrestlers, Lee Kemp and some of those guys. I never saw Daryl Burley from Lehigh,
Joe Bastardi.
So I never had a chance to see those guys actually compete. But of the ones that I've seen compete, that I've been able to watch in my lifetime, like Cale is the best pound for pound wrestler I ever saw. He just, we go back to making it look easy. I mean, it was absurd how easy he made it look. And it always amused me because even at the time, there were people that were like, well, Cale is great. There's no question about it. But there's nobody else that's really like great in his weight class. I'm like, if you could take Cale out of the equation, I wonder if you actually would still believe that. Like, I think Cale was just so great that he made, like John Trench, I mean, I don't know where you'd put him on the great list, but he was pretty darn good. Daniel Cormier, are you kidding me? Not great. Like, he beat some really good guys and did so in very impressive fashion. So, again, not fair. None of us can ever prove one way or another any of these arguments. That's part of what makes them fun. But I have a tough time imagining, certainly junior and senior year Cale, losing to anybody, anywhere, at any time. Like, that dude was just at a different level. And again, I think Penn State has had some obviously all-time greats here. David Taylor and Zane Rutherford and, Jason Nolf, Aaron Brooks certainly on that list now. Carter Sirachi certainly on that list now. I just, Cale in his prime, to me, and not by a wide margin. I'm not sitting here telling you that these guys aren't in the conversation. They are, and there's a bunch of them that would be. But Cale was just different to me.
That's how the one guy was saying. He goes, "Don't even ask me that question." He goes, "Because it's not even fair. Because there's no one ever who could beat him." And that would be, the bigger question would be Brooks and Bo. And they have wrestled. I'm sure you've probably even watched it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to get pretty damn competitive.
For sure. But again, you're talking about different stages of different guys' career, too. So, like, that's what I'm saying, is if you're trying to compare, like, when one guy's at his all-time best and another, it's hard to do because there's so many different factors that play into it. Obviously, both are next level great and would be very, very hard pressed to bet against either of them. And they both had different skill sets, but the one thing I think that they had in common is I don't think either of them, certainly by the time they got to be seniors, had a weakness. Like, they were great at getting out from underneath. Nobody could ride them. They could ride people if need be, just about anybody. And again, both really, really hard to score on, and both really, really good at racking up takedowns of their own. I'll have to go back and look at again, what Aaron Brooks put together as dominant a season as I can remember. He did not give up a takedown. I think he finished with 90. I got to go back and look now. I want to say 96, give or take one there, but 96-ish takedowns to none. And then, again, when you look at it, he was named the Outstanding Wrestler of the Year in the Big Ten, Outstanding Wrestler of the Tournament in the Big Ten, Outstanding Wrestler of the Year in the NCAA. Most Dominant Wrestler. I'm sorry, Most Dominant Wrestler of the Year in the NCAA. Outstanding Wrestler of the Tournament at the NCAA. Excuse me. He's going to win the Hodge Trophy. I mean, I'll be shocked. Parker Kakaisen is certainly a worthy candidate, and I think Carter Sirachi, and nothing against Greg
pre-injury, would he have
Levi
been
Haynes, but I think those two are don't have as many of the bonus point victories. So
Sirachi in that conversation with Brooks without the injury?
Yeah. even with it, he's in the conversation. But I think Aaron, again, just completely separated himself from the field. And then in the final match, obviously it wasn't him by himself, but with his win, kind of like Bo Nickel, when he pinned Miles Martin, that clinched the team title for Penn State. So Brooks, with his win, gives Penn State the points it needs to break the all-time scoring mark, sets the margin of victory at 100. I mean, there's just not anything there where Brooks was the only one that beat an undefeated wrestler who was undefeated and beat an undefeated wrestler in the finals. It just was one of those magical seasons for Aaron Brooks. And I think at the end of the day, again, there's not an award that he would have been eligible for that he didn't win this season.
Kazak doesn't wrestle back to get 3. Do they set the all-time record? The answer is no, right?
Well, no. Well, I mean, if he finished, I'm trying to think here. If he finished 4th,
you love my stupid questions. I'm sorry.
Still, let's see. They still would have if he finished 4th. If he finished 5th, they would not have. So he could have lost his final bout, and they still would have.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
No, remarkable tournament.
All right, now biggest question.
Yeah.
Food.
Food was very good. We went to Q39 for the barbecue on Wednesday night before the tournament.
Team-wise, or you have a certain crew you hang out with?
There's a group that we get together with the night before the championship start.
Announcers?
No, it's a couple of old high school buddy and a friend that he introduced us to, and then a couple of other media folks. So, yeah, we have a great time with that.
That's nice.
Went to a good, great barbecue joint, Q39. If you're heading to Kansas City, we would certainly, all of our group would recommend it. And, pretty much other than that, I'm there at the media trough at the arena or, snacking at the hotel room. For the remainder of it. There was a really good little coffee shop up from the arena. And then there was actually good, and I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm a frou-frou coffee drinker. So you got to put all the different flavors. And I like the French vanilla cappuccinos and the mochas and all of that stuff. But they had a couple of nice spots for that stuff. Right between the hotel we stayed at and the arena. But Kansas City is a really neat area. I would like to get back out there. Again, not a complaint here, just a reality. I don't get to get out and really, I pass by and I see what's happening, but I'm not in there partaking. I would, the Power and Light District is what they call it, and it's right kind of next to the arena and then going up. And it's a beautiful area, but my gosh, the bars and the restaurants and the little shops, and it is a really, really neat area and a thriving area, like just a whole lot going in that downtown area in Kansas City. So I have not talked to anybody to this point, and I've reached out to a few friends of anybody that went. I have not met anybody that is like, boy, I hope they don't go back there. And that is unusual. Like most places, even if most people are like, yeah, you know what, I liked it. I hope it does go back there. There's usually at least one or two. They're like, yeah, I mean, it was okay. Nothing great. I haven't heard anybody say anything other than, wow, was that cool? I hope they come back to Kansas City. I haven't run into any.
Definitely heard that in Tulsa last year.
What? Not hoping it doesn't go back? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And apparently, I'm not sure I saw the right parts of Tulsa. Again, I kind of I get a skewed view because it's just the path that I have from the arena to the hotel that is kind of my stomping grounds for the week. So in Tulsa, that was not great for me. It made me uncomfortable. This
Homeless
Kansas
capital of the world.
City was phenomenal. I mean, it was it's like, man, I really would like to go back and maybe check out a Royals game. Maybe if the Royals and Pirates play, I really would like to go out and spend a couple of days there because it just had a lot going on.
See if anybody went to the World War I museum.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't even asked anybody about that, but yeah, I would not be unhappy to go see that out there.
I mean, that was the one thing I missed by not going this year. I was interested in going to that because my grandfather fought World War I. It's really weird.
Yeah,
my grandfather. That's because I'm on the low end of the 8-person family, so I'm number 6. So my dad was in his 40s when he had me. So you figure his father, was born in the early 1900s, and he fought in Europe in World War I. So most people I know, their grandfathers fought in World War II. I mean, my dad's just old. So, but I would have gone there in a heartbeat. I absolutely would have just loved to have gone there. I know that last year when we were in Tulsa, they had the Black Wall Street. There was a museum out there for that. I know that OJ and some of their guys that we were out there with, we all went to that for the afternoon. So I get out there. I love going to different cities and seeing different museums and stuff. So,
well, we'll take a break here. I promise. We're going to get into some other stuff when we come back. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Get hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half-century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
We welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on a Tuesday afternoon. Again, we are at Quaker Steak and Lube. A huge thank you to the folks at Quaker Steak and Lube for putting up with our nonsense every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5 here on Tuesdays. The all-you-can-eat wing buffet gets underway at 4, so it is well underway. You can come on down and enjoy the great assortment of wings and sides to your heart's content. And, of course, this is a really fun place to come on down and watch the NCAA basketball tournament. For those that have teams that will be in the NHL playoffs, that would be cool. You could probably come down and watch that.
Major League Baseball.
I'm not going to know about that this year. Major League Baseball getting underway in earnest this week. Of course, really got underway last week over in Korea, but in earnest gets underway this week. So
you got a whole
come
Thursday
on down and
play,
check it all out at Quaker Steak and Lube.
Yeah, opening day of baseball Thursday,
Yeah.
right into the basketball tournament. 4 games on Thursday night.
Well, no, baseball right into the Goon and Ironhead show.
Absolutely.
Into the
Absolutely. Of course.
way.
Sure.
that'll work for sports fans, real sports fans.
Well, we're sitting here watching the Phillies play. So I did want to ask you.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on Ohtani?
I don't think yesterday's press conference really helped. I'm not sure what if he thought that was gonna everybody be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, man, we feel
That's
really
what
bad
happened?
for you."
Yeah, you got it. You're good.
Right? It definitely raises a lot more questions than it answers. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know or really have any idea, but it is hard to envision the scenario where, and I get we're talking multimillionaires here, but where millions of dollars go missing, and nobody else raises. I mean, maybe Shohei himself isn't constantly keeping tabs on it. I guess to some degree that might make some sense, but somebody, I don't understand how millions get taken out, put on a game, results occur, and nobody outside of the interpreter are aware of what's going on, which is basically the story that Ohtani was trying to tell yesterday.
I have one thing to say.
There's something that just, it does not pass the smell test at this point. I'll just leave it at that.
What organization, what casino
would
allow a $4.5 million credit to an interpreter
without getting some sort of a approval ahead of time, right? Like that. It just and again, I don't.
It is what it is. But okay, so what?
I'm not in those circles, so maybe it's. But it just it does not make any sense.
So that begs the question: if he is found guilty, is he allowed to bet on football? Is he allowed to bet on basketball? Is he allowed to do that? I don't know. Because I know in the NFL, you are not allowed to bet on NFL games, but you're allowed to bet on other sports as long as you're not in the NFL building.
Yeah.
So if he's not betting on baseball and he's not betting in the building,
I'll tell you, the whole
nuts, man.
The
it's
betting
crazy
thing, and I don't know what I'm not really sure. Dan Patrick's show, I forget if it was today or yesterday. I think it was today. I was listening to it on Fox Sports Radio, 98.7, right here in the State College area. You're going to want to check that out if you get the opportunity. In the State College area, that show runs from 10 a.m. to noon. But he was talking, which I hadn't really given a lot of thought to.
He is a great sportscaster.
He really is. But the discussion they were having today, and again, nobody thinks that we're going to in any way even limit the betting in sports moving forward, right? Like that cat is way out of the bag, and it's not anything that's going to be corralled. But what he was bringing up today, and I do think it's a really, I'm wondering how much thought is actually being given to this by really all leagues, but certainly big time college athletics and the professional sports leagues, there are a lot of people, obviously, that are betting responsibly. It's like, you know what? I have $20. I want to have some fun. Let's see this or that. Or, if you have the money, $100 here, $500 there, whatever it may be, depending on, right? So there's a lot of people that are doing that. It's like, I have a little extra money. I want to do this. But there are also, no question, people that are in trouble, that are in big trouble, financial issues as a result of betting that they can't. So what Dan Patrick was bringing up today is, are they going to be providing additional protection for officials if they make bad calls in these big spots like Super Bowl, but even just like a regular season game? If I am, again, I'm running with a rough crowd, I'm in a desperate circumstance, and this official makes a foul call like Sam Licklider did on Steve Weidman, right? And that call, I had money on Penn State in that Penn State Indiana game, and I'm desperate. And you don't think I'm looking up Licklider's address? And what Patrick is saying is, like, they have got to get out ahead of this. Like, this isn't this could happen, but I doubt it. Like, like, it is going to happen, right? Like,
Sure it is.
Somebody, maybe it's already happened. I mean, and we don't know about it, where authorities were able to intercept. But with all of the information that is now available, and Dan Patrick was saying, the leagues don't publish the addresses of the officials or anything. Right. In this day and age, you think that stuff can't be found somewhere on the internet or by other means with well-connected individuals.
Correct.
I mean, obviously, if that is, and I just had never even really sat down and pondered at that. And ever since he said it, I'm like, my God, like, with all of the money that's involved, if there is a bad call. Now, I don't know to what degree, I don't know if, I'd like to think we don't necessarily need to put armed guards around every official's house, but I honestly, we're talking about people's lives that are in some cases here. I mean, they are desperate, and they're going to be looking to take it out.
That is the difference, is that before 10, 20 years ago, the same officials were making the same calls, and they still had the same fears. Don't get me wrong. But now it's so out in the open. It is so out in the open, and it's so talked about, and that they have people involved with it that would never have been involved in that 20, 25 years ago.
And I am telling you, Goon, I don't know.
It's a hell of a point.
Well, and in this day and age, the other part of this now for me, and I know all of these leagues are trying to keep very close tabs on.
What?
But hold on, let me get to it. But what I worry about now, right? Like, we have had plenty of cases over the years of point shaving cases, and where kids and even in the NBA officials were like, well, with all of the money that's involved now, coaches, athletes, and officials, like, you have got to be keeping constant tabs on all of this if you're in the league, because at the end of the day, the integrity of the game, right? Like, that is paramount. Like, if you find that games are being fixed in any way, shape, or form by anybody, and again, it is pretty easy to do at the end of the day, right? Like, and you hear it. I mean, you see it on the message boards. Oh, blown call there. Wonder how much money that guy had. Oh, wonder how much money that wide receiver that just dropped that easy pass. Wonder how, and they're saying it usually facetiously, jokingly, but then you start to, well, yeah, I mean, if I have money on the game, how easy would it be? I'm predicting us to win. And to go to your point with baseball and Ohtani betting on other sports, here is one of the other problems, I think. And again, I bet like a milkshake here and there on a game here or there. Like I do not bet very often on much of anything. So I'm not much in that world. And I'm not saying that I'm not judgmental about it. I just more circumstance than anything else that I just don't do it. But if you are Ohtani, okay, or any superstar athlete, you're a great golfer, right? And you get to be friends with other professional athletes. You go to the ESPYs, you get acquainted, you know, different Super Bowl champions go to baseball games in their town, and you get to know different other big-time athletes in those sports. Well, what is to prevent, right? It's like insider trading on Wall Street. It's illegal, but if you have connections, it's almost impossible. What am I not going to? I have this great tip. I'm definitely not going to act on that where I know I can make millions. Well, if I have a buddy and he's like, you know, not a lot of people know this, but LeBron's not going to play Friday night because he twisted his ankle in practice. Well, you're telling me that none of these guys are going to use those connections to waste some money. Now, I get it that if the integrity of the game is being upheld, LeBron may be out and the Lakers may still cover. I get it. But if you have insider information, i.e. information that is not available to the general public, and it can affect the outcome of a game, again, I understand that it's not a certainty, but right, like that's a big deal. If I know, you know, I have a buddy on the Penn State football team. He's like, man, Aller hurt his ankle. He's not practicing this week. And, you know, James told us we got to be ready for the backup. Well, and Penn State, you know, is a 3-point underdog. And I'm like, well, there's no way with Aller out of there. Right. Like, so I worry about that. And again, maybe at the end of the day, you're like, well, no, as long as, you know, nobody's point shaving or, you know, doing that stuff. But again, that stuff, I think, like, how do you prove that? And with the amount of money that's now, if they're, you know, you get a big shift right before the game.
That's what I'm going to,
like
that's what I want to
get
get into. It's called betting abnormalities.
Right. But
that's how they're catching people.
But see, a lot of these people, and like this stuff with Ohtani, like millions of dollars on an event, like, is that not an abnormality? Does that not raise eyebrows? And how is that to go? Like the story being told yesterday, just
it's not right.
Again, to me, just does not make sense. And I'm not pretending I know all that I should there, but it just does not sound right. But this is what I am wondering about. So if you're smart about it, I'll use smart in air quotes, but it's like, all right, it really isn't a lot of people. And it's like, you know, it's just me and a couple of buddies and we get this inside information and we don't go crazy. We're not betting millions. It's like, hey, you know, we're going to bet an extra 10,000 here, which again, we're talking about multi-millionaires. So, well, you do that again 4 or 5 times and you get that up to, like, it can be pretty substantial money.
Yes.
And I just, and at the same time, do I think that, you know, even with the like the Iowa situation, again, I can see inside information being used, but do I think that a college baseball player shouldn't be allowed to make a bet on a horse race at the Kentucky Derby?
No,
I don't. I don't really see.
I don't see a problem with it. But now, speaking of baseball player, did you see the Alabama assistant baseball coach?
No.
And I don't know what team, but he's coaching Alabama baseball. He made a phone call to a friend in Las Vegas and said, hey, so-and-so is not playing today. So the guy went over to a casino in Las Vegas, and they said, we cannot take that bet. And he goes, it's a lock. So I got the baseball coach is my best friend, and he's telling the whole story to the person behind the counter. And I'm like, how dumb are you? So I did see, I believe it's an NBA player or a Rutgers basketball player is being investigated right now about prop bet abnormalities.
Which is another,
That's
another
crazy
whole,
because now it's about you.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I have friends, a
and
lot
with
of friends.
the money that's involved, like, you know that people are at least being approached.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, there's no way with the money that's involved, there's no way that there aren't nefarious individuals that are trying to reach out to at least what they think may be other nefarious individuals. And hey, all I need you to do is don't run for a touchdown here in this quarter, or like it. I mean, it really is crazy, especially when you look at all of the things that. All of the different ways that officials, players, or coaches can affect a game that are always going to be questioned either way. And it's like, well, now you have this whole other level of,
now,
like, why did he not play? Why did you? And I'm using this as an example, feeling very strongly that there's nothing nefarious here. But why did J.J. McCarthy not throw more than 2 passes that whole second half? Well, because the running game was effective. Or did somebody get in their ear and say, listen, don't let him go over 5, because if he throws 4 or fewer, and that is the degree now with the betting that's there.
Buddy,
like the enforcement that there can't possibly be enough people to enforce to the degree that they would want to enforce.
No, it's up to individual states.
Now,
I mean,
right?
Iowa, somebody had a bug up their butt in the state of Iowa.
No, but I'm saying even like the league, and I mean, yes, I hear what you're saying there, but like, I mean, the leagues want to have integrity in the game and all that, but I mean, again, you would have to have like 24/7 monitoring of everybody's phone.
Well,
computer,
I have this. It is legal to smoke marijuana in the state of Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
Do Denver Broncos, are they allowed to smoke marijuana, but other teams are not allowed because it's not legal?
Well, no, but
because
if the league
rule says no.
But if that's.
Or when visiting teams go in, I was in Denver for that game. That's why I passed that. That's why I failed that drug test. That's where I was. It's legal there. How is it,
Yeah.
And I know you have contracts and you have obligations to your contract and to your organization.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy, the Ohtani thing. I mean, again, I go back to, I don't know how an interpreter would have a $4.5 million
Well, how does
credit.
he? Right.
Like, you're either backed by Ohtani or you're not backed by Ohtani, because that's the only person who would have that kind of credit. I'm sorry. And the fact that he's trying to pass it off on an interpreter is just absolutely insane. What the world is just blowing up right before our face in the last few days.
I mean, at the end of it does not make any sense, because you would have to be like, I have a lot of very trusted friends. I am not giving them all of my bank account information. I may help them out here or there. I may be naive and foolish here or there, but I'm not, hey, anytime you want to use my bank account, here you go.
Feel a really good feel about this. Really hammer it.
Right. I mean, that just like that in and of itself, it just makes no sense.
None.
And especially, maybe if it's a financial advisor or it's your agent and he's like, I need access to it,
your accountant.
But you're going to have, like, even the most trusting person, like, you're going to have listen, I will give it to you, but just so you know, I have a second set of eyes, right? Like, if I'm giving it to my agent or to my, and I'm telling the bank folks that I need you to let me know, like, just, hey, so-and-so took this out today so that I'm aware of it, right? Like, you're going to have, no matter how naive, you're going to have some sort of check and balance there. But you're not just handing everything over to your interpreter, right? Like that. It just doesn't make any sense.
If they're saying that it is a Japanese bookmaking, aka Japanese bookie, okay?
Yeah.
The interpreter's from California. He wasn't raised in Japan.
Yes.
How would he have ties there? I mean, yeah, maybe family and this and that, but come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, but is it wrong? Okay, now next step. If he was not betting baseball, if he was just putting football, betting horse races and this and that, does he get suspended? Because isn't that what Pete Rose's deal was? He admitted he never bet on baseball at the time.
Well, at the time,
I don't know the whole story.
I don't know what the baseball rules are now. Have they changed? Are you? I don't know if you're allowed to bet. I mean, it used to be you just weren't allowed.
I mean, the NFL, you're allowed to bet on
baseball.
Other sports, I think.
Yeah,
as
but
long as you're not in the building.
But has baseball? I don't know
because
is now.
With the Pete Rose,
Regarding
everybody's going to bring Pete Rose into the situation and say, if you don't suspend Ohtani, you kick him out of the league forever, then you're completely full of crap because Pete Rose is suspended for life because of this.
Yeah, but that's because he bet on baseball.
But himself and this and that. But yeah,
life one.
But he never admitted to betting on baseball until a couple of years ago, though. So that suspension.
But they had. I mean, he didn't admit it.
He's so shady. We have no idea what the situation is.
Right.
But I just see the MLB does not want this. Does not want this. Rob Manfred he cannot believe what's going on right now. The biggest star in international baseball.
Yeah, it is.
It's bad.
It's really bad for the sport. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be held at a lot of people are going to be looking at this and saying, okay, this is hypocrisy at its finest, which I believe the NFL, Major League Baseball, and NBA, that's all hypocrites because they're all sponsored by casinos and this and that online stuff, but then they don't allow it's just, but that is the fear. And that is that they can do that. If they are allowed to do that they will and can. And that's crazy to think about, man. But then, horse racing, I mean, it's been legal forever. You can't tell me that's been clean forever. I mean, there's been cheating going on there forever. So how do they figure that out? How do they know who's doing it, not doing it, and all this and all that? It's just, there's a lot of stuff that's up in the air right now, Headley. Lots of stuff.
That is a fact. We'll get into some of the NFL rule changes on Thursday's program. Talk some Penn State football. Yeah, overall, I think I think it's going to be good for the NFL. Being a defender in the NFL
I wouldn't want to do it.
Really, really difficult.
And that's the other thing. Talking about betting, we're talking about speculative on the officiating now. Now it's a speculation. Oh, did he grab and drop his hands?
Well,
I mean, come on, man.
And I'm going to tell you this because they're saying, well, it'll be okay from the fans' perspective because it's not going to be a bunch of flags. It's going to be fines. You think that makes it more or less likely that you're going to have some of the stuff that we're talking about where
they said not a flag, it's going to be a pouch.
Yeah, that you think that we might not have more guys at least be tempted. It's like, well, this league, for me going out and playing football, I'm doing the best I can to do everything within the rules, and they keep fining me. You think that guy, if a bookie comes up to them and says, listen, I just need you to make no more than, to your point with the prop bets, don't make a sack in the third quarter. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, so I don't think that part I don't think is the way to go. I'm not exactly sure what the way to go is, but I think they are creating some other potential issues down the road for the league and its image. That's going to wrap up our show for today. We will be back Thursday. We'll talk about lots of other stuff at that time. Until then, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.